Welcome back, GrimFace Warriors. And to those just discovering us, this isn't just another channel. This is a movement. The GrimFace movement was built for the ones who were cast aside, the ones who've suffered in silence, who've been overlooked, underestimated, and counted out. But instead of breaking, we trained in the dark. We turned pain into armor. We forged discipline from chaos. And now, we rise. Here, we don't chase validation. We hunt down truth. We sharpen the mind. And we build warriors from the inside out. Because in this world, influence and power are not optional. They are survival tools. And if you don't learn to master them, you'll be controlled by those who did. Let me be brutally honest with you. If you ignore the lessons in this video, if you continue living without intention, without strategy, without emotional control, then you'll keep playing roles in other people's stories. You'll keep giving your time, your energy, your identity away, piece by piece, until there's nothing left but regret. But if you stay, if you listen, absorb, and apply what comes next, you will begin the slow, brutal, beautiful process of taking back your mind. And with it, the power to bend your reality. These are the 7 steps to mastering the game of influence and power, even when you feel like you have none. This is not theory. This is war. And the weapons are in your hands now. Let's begin. Step 1. Rebuild your internal authority. Because no one follows a leader who can't even lead themselves. Before you speak a word, before you try to influence anyone, before you even think about power, you must face the brutal truth. You cannot control the external world until you conquer your internal one. And most people, they're prisoners in their own minds, enslaved by impulses, dominated by distractions, ruled by emotion, and then they wonder why no one listens to them, why no one takes them seriously, why they constantly feel overlooked. Here's the reality. Internal authority is the foundation of all influence. It's not about pretending to be in control. It's about becoming the kind of person who commands their own behavior, thoughts, and emotions with precision. Because when you've mastered you, other people can feel it. It's unspoken, unshakable, undeniable. So how do you rebuild this inner authority? 1. Audit your inner voice. Most people's inner dialogue is pure poison. It's filled with doubt, fear, excuses, and loops of weakness. You must cut through that noise and rebuild a new command system inside your mind. When that voice says, "I can't," you override it with "Akyo, I choose to act anyway." You don't argue with weakness, you override it. 2. Establish daily, non-negotiable self-commands. Wake up at the same time. Train your body, because motion influences emotion. Set routines that are designed not for comfort, but for control. Even if your world is falling apart, if your internal structure is locked in place, you will not break. You become the eye of the storm, the one who doesn't flinch when the chaos hits. 3. Replace feelings with orders. The weak ask themselves, "Do I feel like doing this?" The warrior asks, "Is this aligned with who I'm becoming?" When you start living by principle instead of mood, you become untouchable. Why? Because 99% of people let their moods govern their destiny. But you follow mission. That's authority. 4th, build micro-proof of dominance daily. Do something every single day that proves to your subconscious, "I am not to be fight with." That could be cold showers. That could be training when you're exhausted. That could be turning down comfort food, silence in arguments, or pushing one more rep. Every act of discipline is a vote for your inner king, and eventually, that king rises. 5. Kill the victim within. As long as you allow any trace of victim mentality to exist, your power will rot from the inside. Yes, you've been through hell. Yes, it was unfair. But the longer you carry it like a cross, the more you infect your future with the poison of your past. Cut it off. Mourn it once. Then rise. Victims beg. Kings command. You want to master the game of power? Then stop negotiating with your lower self. Stop hoping for willpower. Start building internal law. You enforce it. You live it. And when others witness it, they don't just hear your words. They feel your weight. This is the step most will skip. They'll want tactics, tricks, hacks. But without this step, they're just loud shadows. Master yourself, and you'll never need to raise your voice to be heard. Your presence will speak louder than their noise ever could. So rebuild the throne within. Because influence starts in silence, and power starts in you. Step 2. Master emotional containment. Because influence is not about what you feel. It's about what you control. Let's cut to the truth. If your emotions control you, then you are not in control of anything. You're just reacting. Bleeding power with every flinch, every outburst, every moment you let someone else dictate your internal state. Emotional containment is the foundation of strategic influence. Not emotional suppression, not pretending you don't feel, but containing that energy, refining it, and turning it into focused fire instead of reckless chaos. Because here's the brutal reality. The moment you let anger, fear, jealousy, or desperation lead the way, you've already lost. You've surrendered your strategy for short-term emotional release. You've given them the one thing they didn't earn, your power. So how do you master emotional containment? Let's dig deep. 1. Identify your emotional triggers like landmines. You can't diffuse what you deny, so you need to become a student of your reactions. What provokes you? Who provokes you? What types of situations turn you into a puppet on emotional strings? Name them. Track them. Study them. Because what you don't understand will always own you. 2. Build the 3-second rule into your nervous system. Something triggers you. Someone disrespects you. You feel the fire rising. Pause. For 3 seconds. Just long enough to shift from reaction to response. Ask, does this require my energy? Am I being pulled into a trap? Can I flip this moment into power? That pause is not weakness. It's the gate that protects your empire from sabotage. 3. Transmute the emotion. Don't suppress it. You're angry? Good. Now go train. Go build. Go create. Take that fire and funnel it into a target. Don't let it explode inside you or leak out in weakness. Use it as fuel. Sadness, turn it into focus. Fear, turn it into preparation. Shame, turn it into relentless drive. Emotion is energy, but you choose the direction. 4. Detach from the outcome. Attach to your mission. Most emotional spirals come from expectation. You thought it would go one way. It didn't. And now you spiral. But when you stop obsessing over outcomes and start locking into your mission, you become emotionally bulletproof. Because the goal is no longer to win this moment. It's to build the unshakable self who always wins in the long run. 5. Stop seeking emotional rescue. The moment you look for someone else to soothe you, fix you, or save you, you've already declared yourself powerless. Containment means self-rescue. You are your own anchor. your own recalibration. You don't wait for someone to talk you down. You train yourself to rise. You sit with your storm, and you whisper to it, "You don't run me. I run you." Here's the deeper truth. People trust and follow those who remain calm in chaos. Because calmness isn't natural. It's forged. And when you master emotional containment, you create an aura others can't explain, but instinctively respect. They won't know why, but they'll defer to you. They'll follow you, because you've become the unmoved mover, the center of gravity when others lose balance. So when you feel the fire rise, don't run from it. Channel it. Contain it. Control it. Because power belongs to those who don't just feel, but command. Step 3. Decode the psychology of others. Because influence isn't about force, it's about precision. If you're trying to lead, persuade, or dominate without understanding human behavior, you're not playing the game. You're the pawn in it. Influence isn't about manipulation in the childish sense. It's not about shouting louder or trying harder. It's about understanding people so deeply that you can see their choices before they make them, and then positioning yourself as the inevitable answer to their unspoken need. That's real power, because the one who understands the battlefield, who studies the terrain, the weather, the weaknesses of the opponent, can win without lifting a sword. And the battlefield today is psychological. So how do you decode the minds of others? 1. Observe more than you speak. Most people are so desperate to be heard, they never realize that every conversation is a confession. People are leaking information constantly. Their body language, tone, word choice, timing. But you'll only catch it if you shut your mouth and watch. You want to become dangerous. Become the one who sees what others miss. Train yourself to read behind the words, because the truth is always hiding between the lines. 2. Learn what people fear and want, then speak to both. Every human is running from something and chasing something. Security, recognition, love, status, control. On the surface, they'll talk about goals, but underneath, emotion runs the machine. You want to influence someone? Stop talking about logic. Speak to their pain. Speak to their desire. Frame what you offer as the solution to their invisible war. Then they'll follow, not because they were convinced, but because they felt understood. 3. Look for patterns, not exceptions. Most people show you exactly who they are. You're just too emotionally attached to believe them. If they flake once, they might be tired. If they flake 5 times, it's a pattern. If they gossip to you, they'll gossip about you. If they lie to others, they'll lie to you. Stop projecting hope onto red flags. Pattern recognition is a power few have, because it requires detachment. But once you master it, you stop wasting time. You stop giving energy to people who've already proven their chaos. 4. Use the mirror technique. People love themselves. They love those who reflect them. So mirror their body language subtly. Use similar words, phrases, cadence, not to manipulate, but to build subconscious trust. Why? Because the brain says, this person feels like me. I trust what feels familiar. And the moment you make someone feel seen, safe, and mirrored, they let their guard down. And now, you can lead. 5. Never reveal your full hand. While you're decoding others, protect your own code. Speak less than you know. Reveal less than you feel. Let people underestimate you. Let them think they figured you out. Because the moment they think they've seen all your cards, they stop looking. And that's when you play the one they didn't see coming. Power favors the unpredictable. So stay 3 moves ahead. Stay composed, stay calculating, and watch them walk straight into your frame. Here's what most never realize. The people around you are walking blueprints. Not because they're weak, because they're human. But you're becoming something different. You're not just existing. You're watching, reading, predicting. While they chase validation, you collect data. While they react emotionally, you shape the room. This step makes you dangerous, not through aggression, but through insight. Because once you see through people, you stop playing checkers in a chess game. And when you move with calculated force. Because you already know how the pieces will fall. Decode them. Then decide. Will you guide them or break them? Step 4. Speak the language of power. Because words are not just sounds. They are weapons or chains. If you want to influence, to lead, to command attention, you must understand this. Every word you speak either builds your empire or burns it down. There is no neutral language. There is no casual conversation. The masses speak to fill silence. But the powerful, they speak to shift reality. Their words land like strikes. Their silence screams. Because they know something the weak never learn. Language is not expression. Language is programming. You're either programming others or being programmed by them. Let's break it down. 1. Stop speaking like you're asking for permission. Do you say, I think we should? Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm just saying. Stop. Every word that waters down your certainty is a signal of weakness. You're telling the world, I'm unsure. You can lead me. You can override me. Power speaks with intention, not apology. Speak in statements, not suggestions. I believe this is the right move. We're doing this. This is the way forward. Own your words, or someone else will rewrite your script. 2. Remove emotional leakage from your tone. Tone reveals hierarchy. It exposes dominance or submission before content is even processed. Wavering tone, you're not sure of yourself. Rushed speech, you're chasing approval. Defensiveness, you're losing ground. Slow down. Lower your voice, not in volume, but in depth. Speak with calm command, not frantic need. Because the one who controls the pace controls the room. 3. Frame reality. Don't describe it. The average person describes what is. The powerful frame what will be. Weak. This could work, if we're lucky. Powerful. This is the most direct path to the result. Let's execute. One voice asks for belief. The other creates it. Influence is not about reciting facts. It's about owning the narrative. Control the story, and you control the mind behind it. 4. Use strategic silence. The masses fear silence. They fill it with babble, over-explanation, justification. But silence is pressure. It makes the other person lean in. It creates discomfort, and discomfort forces truth to rise. Use silence to force others to reveal themselves, to let your words echo, to make every sentence feel like the end of a decision, not the start of a debate. The less you say, the more weight your words carry. 5. Speak in visuals, not theory. The brain doesn't respond to logic. It responds to imagery. Don't say, you need to act fast. Say, every second you hesitate, the door closes tighter. Don't say, this is a good investment. Say, this is your shot to get in before the gates close. You're not just talking, you're painting emotion into thought. You're hijacking the imagination and steering it toward your intended action. That's not conversation, that's control. 6. End with direction, not drift. When your words trail off into uncertainty, you lose control of the frame. End your statements like they're final, like they are reality, not speculation. Example: weak. That's just my 2 cents. Strong. That's the direction. Let me know when you're ready to move. Weak. Let's circle back later. Strong. I'll expect a decision by noon tomorrow. You are training the world how to treat you, and your language sets the rules. Here's the truth no one taught you. Words don't just describe your world, they create it. And when you learn to speak with precision, restraint, and unshakable energy, people will listen. Even your silence will haunt them. You won't need to fight to be heard. You won't need to beg for attention. Your words will move like stone, unmovable, unforgettable. So the question is, will your language mark you as forgettable? Or will it carve your presence into the minds of everyone who hears you? Master the language of power. Because influence begins with voice, but ends with command. Step 5. Build invisible leverage. Because power is not what's seen, it's what's held in silence. Real influence doesn't come from shouting. It doesn't come from flexing muscles or flashing wealth. It comes from leverage. Quiet, strategic leverage. The kind you don't announce. The kind you don't parade. The kind that makes others pause before crossing you, even if they can't explain why. Leverage is the invisible gravity in every power dynamic. It's the weight behind your words, the depth behind your silence, the force behind your presence. And without it, you're stuck begging, pleading, hoping. But with it, you walk into any room and bend the outcome without force. Because you don't need permission. You have position. So how do you build this kind of leverage? 1. Control resources, not people. People are unreliable. But resources, solutions, tools, information, networks are what people chase. Become the one who holds what others need. That could be knowledge. It could be access. It could be skill. It could be peace in chaos. You don't control people by dominating them. You control them by being their answer. So ask yourself, what do the people around me need most that they can't easily find? Now go become the only source of it. 2. Operate in the shadows while building dominance. Your influence should never be obvious. It should feel like weather. Always present, always shifting, but impossible to stop. While they're performing, you're positioning. While they chase applause, you're stacking wins in silence. Build relationships quietly. Stack favors without expectation. Offer solutions without noise. Because when the time comes, the person who helped behind the scenes becomes the only one people turn to when the spotlight fades. 3. Accumulate social debt, but never call it in early. Here's a brutal truth. Most people give and immediately expect something in return. That's not leverage. That's desperation. But if you can give without need, help without strings, serve without ego, you become something rare, a vault of unclaimed loyalty. And when you finally need to make a move, they will move mountains for you. Not because you forced them, because you were the only one who didn't. That's the paradox of power. Those who don't grasp for it are often the ones who end up holding it. 4. Build optionality in every direction. Never let your entire life hinge on one person, one income stream, one opportunity. Dependence is weakness, disguised as loyalty, and the world smells it. Start creating multiple paths to freedom, multiple allies, multiple exits, multiple value streams. Because the person with options is the person who can walk away, and the person who can walk away owns the room. 5. Become irreplaceable in silence. Do your work so well that people don't notice you until you're gone. And when you're gone, everything stops. That's leverage. You don't need to be liked. You need to be necessary. And necessity isn't built through noise. It's built through results. Results that are consistent, disciplined, and undeniable. So that when power shifts, you never fall. Because the structure still leans on you. 6. Keep your intentions unreadable. The moment people can predict your moves, they start strategizing against you. But when you operate with calm confidence and hidden motives, you become the one they can't figure out. Are you a friend? A threat? A resource? A competitor? Good. Keep them guessing. Because confusion creates caution. And cautious people make fewer aggressive moves. You're not just influencing their decisions, you're limiting their options. That's leverage in its purest form. Here's what most never understand. Influence isn't about overpowering. It's about becoming so embedded in the system, so essential, so well-positioned, that your absence would be felt more than your presence. You want to be dangerous? Then stop announcing your greatness. Start building it in silence. Stop trying to dominate people directly. Start holding what they need. And when the time comes to strike, you won't have to raise your voice. Because the world will already be listening. That's the power of invisible leverage. That's how you bend the game, without ever showing your hand. Step 6. Craft your presence like armor. Because before anyone hears you, they feel you. Power does not begin with words. It begins with energy. It begins with presence. And presence is not something you're born with. It's something you build, layer by layer, like armor. Before you speak, before you act, before you make a move, people are already calculating you, sizing you up, scanning for weakness, subconsciously asking, do I follow this person or ignore them? And in that split second, your presence decides. Let me be clear. Presence is not about being loud. It's not about dominating the room with fake confidence. It's about walking in like you own yourself so completely that the room adjusts to you. So how do you build that kind of presence, even when you feel small? 1. Treat your body like a weapon, not a decoration. This has nothing to do with vanity. It's about control. The way you sit, the way you stand, the way you walk. All of it communicates one message. I am either prepared for life or prey to it. Train your posture. Shoulders back, head still, eyes forward. Move like someone who expects respect, not someone begging for it. Even if your life is on fire, hold your frame like it's not. Because the person who moves with calm, deliberate intention in chaos is the one who makes others question their own panic. 2. Speak less. Speak deeper. You don't need to fill the silence. You don't need to overshare, over-explain, or overperform. Presence thrives in restraint. People with power don't rush their words. They don't look for agreement. They speak as if the room is already in agreement. Drop the filler phrases. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? I'm not sure, but kill those. Let your voice land. Slow, steady, intentional. When you speak, it should feel like a conclusion, not a question. 3. Dress with strategic precision. You don't have to be rich to command attention. But every piece of clothing you wear should send a signal. I respect myself. I take myself seriously. Wear things that fit. Colors that sharpen your tone. Shoes that say you're moving with purpose. Why? Because people scan you in milliseconds. And in those moments, they decide whether you're to be followed or dismissed. You don't need a suit to carry presence. You need congruence. How you dress should align with how you carry yourself. 4. Make stillness your superpower. Nervous people fidget, tap, twitch, scroll. But the one who holds still, who doesn't need to move to feel safe, dominates the room. Stillness is presence. Stillness is control. Stillness screams, I am not afraid of this moment. I own it. Train this. Sit still when others squirm. Make eye contact and hold it. Not with aggression, but with calm confidence. And when the time comes to move, move with intent. Because every twitch reveals tension, and every silence reveals strength. 5. Radiate ownership, not explanation. You want to build presence? Own everything. Own your flaws. Own your words. Own your space. Never apologize for existing. Never shrink to make others comfortable. Never dilute your ambition to fit the mood of the room. You are not a guest in the world. You are the host of your reality. People follow those who own who they are, flaws and all. Not because they're perfect, but because they are undeniable. 6. Sharpen your inner monologue. Your presence is just a reflection of your internal state. If your mind is flooded with self-doubt, fear, weakness, you will broadcast it without speaking. So retrain that voice. Replace, I hope they like me. Let's see if they're aligned with my mission. I'm nervous. This is energy. I'll control it. I don't belong here. I earned this space. Now I dominate it. Your thoughts shape your posture. Your posture shapes your presence. And your presence shapes your destiny. Here's the hard truth. You don't need to say a word to start influencing people. Your energy already made the introduction. And if that energy is fractured, needy, anxious, your voice won't save you. But if that energy is still, rooted, commanding, you'll bend the atmosphere without raising your voice. So craft your presence like armor. Layer it with awareness. Sharpen it with discipline. And polish it with stillness. Because the most powerful people in the world aren't the loudest. They're the ones who walk in and make the whole room feel like it's been holding its breath. Step 7. Stay in the shadows until it's time to strike. Because premature exposure kills potential, and timing is everything. The final step in mastering influence and power is the one most people ignore. Because it requires patience, discipline, and the ability to delay recognition in a world addicted to being seen. But if you study the most dangerous, most effective, most quietly dominant people in history, you'll notice one thing. They stayed in the shadows until it was time to strike. They built in silence. They watched. They listened. They studied the terrain. And when the moment came, they moved with precision and force. One strike, one move, game over. That's not luck. That's lethal timing. So how do you operate like that when your ego is screaming to be seen? 1. Kill your addiction to attention. In this world, most people trade long-term power for short-term applause. They show their progress too early. They talk about moves they haven't made. They seek validation before the foundation is even finished. But real warriors, we don't need applause. We need silence. Because silence is where clarity lives. It's where the plan sharpens. It's where you become dangerous, quietly. 2. Build a fortress before you open the gates. Your skills, your resources, your alliances, your systems. They all need to be fortified before you expose yourself. Because once you're visible, once you're on their radar, you will be attacked. You will be questioned. You will be challenged. So the question is, will you be ready when the eyes turn to you? Or will you crumble under pressure you weren't prepared for? Train in silence, so you can execute in chaos. 3. Use invisibility as a weapon. There's power in being underestimated. Let them think you're average. Let them think you're not a threat. Let them keep their eyes on the loud ones. Because while they're distracted, you're stacking leverage. You're infiltrating networks. You're learning their moves. You're becoming the one they'll never see coming. And when you finally make your move, it won't be loud. It'll be surgical. That's how you win wars without fighting battles. 4. Don't announce your intentions. Shape the outcome. Weak people talk about what they're going to do. Powerful people just do it. They don't ask for permission. They don't post about it. They don't broadcast the plan. They move quietly. Because when the plan is real, you don't need to talk. The result becomes the proof, and the silence becomes part of the legend. 5. Master patience, but be ready to strike instantly. Power is not passive. It doesn't mean you wait forever. It means you know exactly when to act. And when you do, it's brutal and final. You don't rush, but you don't hesitate either. You move when the opponent blinks, when the door cracks, when the system stutters. And when you do, you move like someone who's been waiting their whole life for this moment. Because you have. 6th, let success echo louder than your voice. Your impact should feel like an aftershock. Long after you've left the room, your presence should still be felt. That's the power of staying hidden until you've built something that cannot be ignored. You don't convince people with words. You corner them with results. You don't debate your value. You present it in silence, fully formed, undeniable, and above questioning. 7. Create mystique and unpredictability. The predictable are controllable, and you must never be either. Keep your circle tight. Keep your next moves unknown. Let people doubt you. Let them misjudge you. Because when they realize what you've become, it's already too late. Mystique creates fear. Unpredictability creates hesitation. And hesitation in your enemies is everything. So here's the final truth. Power isn't always about being on stage. Sometimes, it's about being in the shadows, pulling the strings, watching, waiting, building. So when the curtain finally rises, you don't show up to perform. You show up to conquer. This is the step most will never take. They want to be seen before they're ready. They want fame before mastery. But not you. You will move in silence. You will build in darkness. And when you strike, you won't need to ask for power. You'll take it, because you were already holding it the entire time. Now, fade back into the shadows and prepare to become the storm no one sees coming. So let's bring it full circle. If you truly want to master the game of influence and power, not pretend, not perform, but master, then these 7 steps are not optional. They are the foundation, the arsenal, the battle map. You start with step 1. Rebuild your internal authority, because no one will follow you until you follow through with yourself. Discipline, control, inner command. That's where it begins. Then you learn. Step 2. Master emotional containment. Because the battlefield isn't just external, it's inside you. Every uncontrolled emotion is a vulnerability. But when you own your response, you own the room. Next comes step 3. Decode the psychology of others. You're not just reacting to people, you're reading them. You're not guessing, you're calculating. You stop being predictable and start becoming strategic. With step 4, speak the language of power. You shift from words that beg to words that build. You speak less, say more, and every sentence becomes a trigger for action. Then you build step 5, invisible leverage, quiet power, hidden weapons. You don't chase influence. You become the person others can't move without. Step 6, craft your presence. Like armor, you command the room before you speak. Not through volume, but through energy, stillness, and the unshakable way you carry yourself. And finally, step 7, stay in the shadows until it's time to strike. Because timing isn't luck, it's lethal patience. You don't announce, you don't seek permission, you build in silence. And when you move, the world remembers your name. These are not tactics for the weak. They are disciplines for the few, and most people won't follow them. Because most people would rather be seen than sharpened. They'd rather be liked than lethal. But you're here, which means you're different. You don't want approval, you want mastery. So take these steps and embed them into who you are. Let them replace the chaos. Let them override the noise. Let them forge the version of you that the world can't ignore, control, or forget. Because the moment you apply these steps, the shift begins. The war for power tilts in your favor. And every room you enter after that will feel your weight, whether you speak or not. Now rise and become the storm.